On the night I proposed to my girlfriend, she said yes with tears in her eyes, only for me to later find out she had already been secretly engaged to someone else and I was nothing more than her backup plan. I proposed to Sarah on October 14, 2023. I remember the date because it's burned into my memory like a brand. She said yes with tears streaming down her face and I thought they were tears of joy. I was wrong about everything. The ring cost me 3 months' salary. I'd been planning it for weeks, down to the restaurant where we had our first date, the exact table by the window. I practiced the speech in my car in the shower in front of my bathroom mirror until I had every word perfect. Sarah, you're my everything. You make me want to be the man you deserve. When I got down on one knee, her hands flew to her mouth. The tears came immediately. She nodded before I even finished asking, pulling me up to kiss her while the entire restaurant applauded. Yes, she whispered against my lips. Yes. I thought I was the luckiest man alive. I posted the photo on social media within an hour. Her left hand with my grandmother's ring, both of us glowing with happiness. 847 likes. Comments flooding in with congratulations and heart emojis. My mom called crying. My dad texted about time, son. Sarah's sister immediately started planning the engagement party. We drove back to our parting dates venues, whether we wanted a big ceremony or something small. She kept staring at the ring, twisting it around her finger like she was testing how it felt. It's beautiful, she said, but something in her voice felt off. Distant, I chalked it up to shock. Girls dream about their proposal their whole lives, right? Maybe reality never matches the fantasy. That night she went to bed early claiming a headache. I stayed up scrolling through the comments on our engagement photo, screenshot after screenshot to show her in the morning. I was high on life, planning our future, already thinking about the house we'd buy and the kids we'd have. Her phone buzzed on the nightstand around midnight, then at 12:07, then 20:15. I glanced over. She was sound asleep, but the phone kept lighting up. Text after text. I shouldn't have looked, I know that now. But curiosity got the better of me, and I figured it was probably her friends freaking out about the engagement. The name on the screen made my freeze. Marcus, not just Marcus. Marcus with a heart emoji. My hands shook as I picked up her phone. I knew her passcode because we'd been together 3 years and we trusted each other completely. Or so I thought. The messages made me physically sick. Marcus, saw your post, we need to talk. Marcus, this complicates things. Marcus, call me when you'd up, and up, and up. Months of messages, daily conversations. Good morning beautiful texts, photos I'd never seen, plans made when she told me she was working later out with girlfriends. But the worst message was from 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks before I proposed. Marcus, so when are you going to propose? Sarah, after the holidays. I can't break his heart right before Christmas. Marcus, you know I can't wait much longer. My mom keeps asking when she gets to meet my fiancé officially. My vision went black for a second. Fiancé, I kept reading each message, driving the knife deeper. Sarah, no baby, it's just complicated. He's been planning something big, I can tell. I think he's gonna propose soon. What are you gonna say? Sarah, I'll figure it out. Maybe I can stall him until after New Year's. Give me time to break it to him gently. Marcus, I isn't fair to any of us. Especially him. Sarah, I love you too. Just give me a little more time. I dropped the phone like it was on fire. My chest felt tight like I couldn't breathe. The woman sleeping next to me wearing my grandmother's ring, was engaged to another man. Not just seeing him. Engaged. I stumbled to the bathroom and up. Everything from our celebration dinner came back up along with what felt like my entire soul. When I came back to bed she hadn't moved. Still sleeping peacefully while my world collapsed in real time. I sat in our living room until sunrise staring at our engaged photo on Instagram. In the comments, her friend Jenna had written, finally, I thought you'd never get your happy ending. But Sarah already had her happy ending. With Marcus I was just the intermission. The sun came up on what should have been the first day of our engagement. Instead it was the day I realized I'd been living a lie for months. She woke up around 8, padding to the kitchen in my oversized t-shirt, the ring catching the morning light. Good morning, fiancé, she said, smiling at me over her coffee mug. I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw her phone at the wall and demand answers. I wanted to ask her how she could look me in the eye and pretend to be happy when she was planning to destroy me after Christmas. Instead, I said good morning. Because I needed to know how deep this went. I needed to understand exactly who I'd been sharing my bed with for the past year. I was thinking we could go look at venues this weekend. She said, settling onto the couch next to me. Maybe that place in Malibu you showed me. The casual cruelty of it was breathtaking. She was planning our fake wedding while secretly engaged to someone else. I managed, whatever makes you happy. She kissed my cheek, and I had to fight not to recoil. I love you. Said the words felt like acid in my ears. I became a detective in my own relationship. Every time Sarah left the apartment, I went through her things. Her dresser drawers. The box of keepsakes under our bed. What I found destroyed whatever was left of my sanity. Photos of her and Marcus at restaurants I recognized. Places she told me she'd gone with work colleagues or girlfriends. There they were, holding hands across the table, looking each other the way she used to look at me. Concert tickets from shows she'd supposedly attended alone because I was too busy with work. She'd gone with him. A hotel receipt from the weekend she'd visited her sister in Portland. Except the hotel was in San Diego and it was a couple's suite. But the worst discovery was in her jewelry box, hidden behind a tangle of necklaces I'd given her for various anniversaries. Another engagement ring, bigger than mine, more expensive. The kind of ring I could never afford on my teacher's salary. I photographed everything, screenshots of messages, pictures of the ring, copies of receipt. I built a case against the woman I loved like I was preparing for trial. Because in a way I was. The breaking point came on a Thursday night. Sarah said she had a late meeting with a client, wouldn't be home until after 9, standard excuse by now. I drove to Marcus's apartment. I'd found his address in her contacts, along with what looked like a spare key code in her notes app. I sat in my car outside his building for 2 hours feeling like a but unable to leave. At 9:30 Sarah's car pulled into the visitor parking. She used a key to get into the building. I waited until 10 p.m. then called her. Oh, you know how it is. Clients want everything yesterday. I'll probably be here until 11. Don't work too hard. Love you. Love you too. She hung up and I sat there staring at her car, wondering how someone could let her sleep. At 11:15 she came out of the building, but she didn't come straight home. She stopped at CVS, bought something in a small bag, then sat in her car for 20 minutes texting. When she finally got home at midnight, I pretended to be asleep. "Sorry I'm so late," she whispered, sliding into bed. Klein was a nightmare. I lay there next to her, wondering if she could feel the hatred radiating from my body. The next day I called in sick to work and followed her. She didn't go to her office. She went to a bridal shop. I watched she tried on wedding dresses with Marcus's mom and sister. They were laughing, taking photos, having the exact experience she should have been having with my family. She looked radiant in the dress, happier than I'd seen her look in months, certainly happier than she'd looked when I proposed. That night I confronted her. "We need to talk." She was in the kitchen making dinner, humming some song I didn't recognize, probably something Marcus liked. "What's up?" she said without turning around. I know about Marcus. The humming stopped, her shoulders tensed, but she kept stirring whatever was on the stove. "I don't know what you mean. Seen the messages, the photos." She turned around slowly and I saw something in her face I'd never seen before. Not guilt, not shame, relief. "How long have you known?" she asked. "Does it matter?" She set down the spoon and leaned against the counter, looking at me like she was seeing me clearly for the first time in months. "I never meant for it to happen," she said. "Marcus and we have history. We dated in college and when he moved back to town last year we reconnected." When? February. 8 months ago. Almost our entire engagement had been a lie. I panicked. I wasn't expecting it that night, and everyone was watching, and I couldn't say no without explaining everything right there in front of all those people. The casual cruelty was stunning. I'd poured my heart out, offered her my grandmother's ring, pledged her the entire future, and she'd said yes to avoid embarrassment. I was trying to find the right time. The right way. After Christmas, right? That's what you told him. She closed her eyes. "You read everything." "I read enough." "So what's the plan now?" "Keep stringing me along until you figure out how to let me down easy." "It's not like that." "Then what is it like, Sarah?" "Because from where I'm standing it looks like I'm your backup plan. Your safety net in case things don't work out with your real fiancé." She didn't deny it. That silence told me everything I needed to know. "I do care about you," she said finally. "But you love him." "Yes." The word hit like a physical. After 3 years together, after building a life and making plans and believing we were soulmates, she loved someone else. "I'm sorry," she added, "but sorry doesn't fix devastation. Get out." "What?" "Pack your things and get out. Tonight. We can talk about this. We can figure something out. You made your choice 8 months ago. You just forgot to tell me about it." She started crying then, but they weren't the same tears she'd cried when I proposed. These were tears of being caught, not tears of joy or even genuine remorse. "Where am I supposed to go?" "I'm sure Marcus's room." She packed 2 suitcases and left that night. The apartment felt like a tartan afterward, filled with the ghosts of a relationship that had been dead for months without me realizing it. I called my brother at 2 a.m. She was cheating, I told him, the whole time. She's engaged to someone else. Jesus Christ. "Are you okay?" "No, I don't think I'm gonna be okay for a very long time." The hardest part wasn't losing Sarah. It was realizing I'd never actually had her. I had to tell everyone. My parents who'd already started planning the rehearsal dinner. My coworkers who'd be asking about wedding dates. Our mutual friends, most of whom chose her side because her story was simpler. We grew apart and decided to end things amicably. Only my family and closest friends got the real story. The ones who mattered knew what she'd done to me. But the public humiliation was just the beat. In 3 weeks after she moved out, Sarah posted new photos on social media. Her and Marcus at some fancy restaurant, her hand prominently displayed with his ring. The caption read, "Sometimes life surprises you with exactly what you didn't know you needed." And 847 people had liked our engagement photo. 200 people liked her post about finding her real love. The comments were worse than the photo itself. "You deserve all the happiness in the world. He's so much better looking than the last guy. I always knew you two were meant to be." That last comment was from her sister. The saying suggested we'd hug me at our engagement and promised to help plan the perfect wedding. I deleted all my social media accounts that night. I couldn't watch her rewrite our history in real time, turning me into a footnote in her love story. Work became my escape, but even there, reminders followed me. We'd talked about having kids, about the kind of parents we wanted to be. I taught 8th grade, and every day I looked at these kids who trusted adults to tell them the truth, and I wondered how many of their parents were living the same lie I'd been living. The worst part was the self-doubt. I started questioning everything. Every fight we'd had, every time she'd seemed distant, every occasion when she'd chosen to stay home instead of coming to work events with me. Had she been thinking about him? Had she ever really loved me at all, or had I been a convenient placeholder until her real choice came back to town? I found out later that some of our friends had known. Not about the engagement but about Marcus. They'd seen them together and assumed Sarah and I had broken up. When they realized I didn't know, they chose to stay silent rather than get involved. "It wasn't our place to tell you," my friend Jake said when I confronted him. "We thought maybe it was just a rough patch." Rough patch. That's what they called 8 months of emotional infidelity and an engagement. I stopped trusting anyone after that. If my girlfriend of 3 years could lie to my face every single day, if my friends could watch me get destroyed and say nothing, if her family could smile at me while knowing I was being played, then who could I trust? The answer was no one. I started therapy, but even that felt hollow. Martinez kept talking about healing, and moving forward, and learning to trust again. Easy words from someone who'd never been living with their own personal Judas. "You're angry," she'd say during our sessions. Of course I'm angry. I wasted 3 years of my life on someone who was planning to throw me away after Christmas. But holding on to that anger is only you now. She was right, but I couldn't let it go. The anger was all I had left. Without it, I was just empty. Sarah tried to read a few times in those first months. Text messages apologizing, asking if we could talk things through. I never responded. What was there to say? She'd made her choice and she'd made it 8 months before I even knew there was a choice to be made. I heard through mutual acquaintances that she and Mar planning a June wedding. The same month Sarah and I had talked about for our ceremony. Even in her new relationship she was recycling pieces of the life we'd planned together. My mom kept asking if I was dating anyone new, if I'd met any nice teachers at school, if I wanted her to set me up with her friend's daughter. I couldn't explain to her that the idea of trusting someone with my heart again felt impossible. How do you date when you know with absolute certainty that people can look you in the eye and leave effortlessly? The nightmare started around month 4. Dreams where I'd find Sarah's secret phone, or discover she'd been living a double life, or wake up on our old couch to realize the whole breakup had been a dream and I was still trapped in that lie. I'd wake up in a cold sweat reaching for someone who was never there to begin with. By month 6 I developed a routine. Work, gym, grocery store, home, Netflix and takeout. Bed by 10. Rinse and repeat. It wasn't living, it was just surviving, but surviving felt like an accomplishment when you'd been emotionally executed by the person you trusted most. The engagement ring sat in my dresser drawer for 8 months before I finally returned it to my grandmother. I couldn't explain to her what had happened without breaking her heart too, so I told her I'd decided to wait a little longer before proposing. She nodded like she understood, but I caught her looking at me with that worried expression grandmothers get when they know something's wrong but don't know how to fix it. I ran into Sarah once, at the grocery store near our old apartment. She looked happy, tanned like she'd been on vacation. The ring Marcus gave her caught the fluorescent light as she reached for something on the top shelf. She saw me and froze. For a moment we just stared at each other across the cereal aisle. She said finally, "Hi. How are you?" The question was absurd. How was I? I was a shell of who I used to be, unable to trust anyone, spending my evenings alone wondering if I'd ever feel normal again. But grocery store small talk doesn't have room for kind of honesty. Fine. Yo, good. Of course she was good. She'd gotten exactly what she wanted while leaving behind a wake of destruction she'd never have to face. I should go, I said. Wet. She took a step closer. I know this doesn't mean much now, but I really am sorry for how everything happened. Sorry for how it happened. Just sorry about her methods. Okay. I said. I hope you find someone who makes you happy. The irony was suffocating. She hoped I'd find what she'd had with Marcus while she was pretending to build a life with me. I hope your vet works out, I said and walked away. It was the last time we spoke. That night I sat in my apartment, the same apartment we'd shared, still decorated with furniture we'd picked out together, and tried to imagine a different version of events. One where she'd been honest, one where she'd broken up with me in February when she realized she wanted someone else. It would have been clean. Respectful. Instead she'd chosen to let me live in a fantasy while she planned my destruction. She'd let me propose, knowing she'd never marry me. She'd let me call my family with the good news. She'd let me start imagining our children and our future while she was building that future with another man. The cruelest part wasn't just the lies. It was that she'd let me be happy. She'd watch me fall deeper in love with an illusion while she counted down the days until she could finally be free of me. That's the thing about betrayal at this level. It doesn't just break your heart. It breaks your ability to believe in your own perceptions. If someone can lie to you that completely, that effortlessly for that long, then how do you ever trust your own judgment again? I'm writing this 2 years later, and I still don't have an answer to that question. I still don't date. I still don't trust easily. I still wake up some mornings wondering if the person I was before all this happened is ever coming back, or if this is just who I am now. Sarah got her happy ending. From what I hear, the wedding was beautiful. They bought a house in the suburbs. She's pregnant with their first child. She got to move on like our 3 years together never mattered, while I'm still here, trying to figure out how to be human again after someone I loved treated me like I was disposable. So here's what I learned, and here's why I'm sharing this story. If someone will cheat with you, they'll cheat on you. And if someone can lie to your face every single day while planning to destroy you, they were never yours to begin with. Don't ignore the red flags. Don't make excuses for people who don't respect you enough to tell you the truth. Don't stay with someone who treats your heart like it's expendable. And most importantly, when someone shows you who they really are, believe them the first time. Because I spent 3 years loving someone who was never really there, and now I get to spend the rest of my life learning how to trust again. The scariest part isn't that she lied to me, it's that she was so good at it, I never saw it coming.